Star Wars should just stop. Seriously, think about that for a second. Lightsabers, space wizards, a farm boy who saves the galaxy. It's Star Wars. We all love it, or at least we used to. But somewhere along the line, something shifted. Something rotten. It's become a monument to its own past, a gilded cage trapping creativity and suffocating new ideas. And I'm here to argue that the most radical, the most loving thing we could do for Star Wars is to let it just stop. Let it fade away. Let it die. I know. Sacrilege, right? But hear me out. I'm not advocating for destroying the existing films. Those are classics. What I'm talking about is stopping the churn. The endless cycle of sequels, spin-offs, and streaming shows that are actively diluting the magic that made Star Wars so special in the first place. We're consuming nostalgia like candy, and it's making us sick. Let's look at what's happening. We're getting more Star Wars, yes, but are we getting good Star Wars? Are we getting anything that truly feels earned? Or are we just getting variations on the same tired tropes, rehashed characters, and fan service pandering that actively avoids taking any real risks? The story I want to unpack today isn't about a single film failing. It's about a larger, systemic problem that plagues not just Star Wars, but so many of our beloved franchises. It's the story of how empires, both fictional and corporate, strangle creativity and keep the cycle going, even when it's demonstrably harming the very thing they claim to protect. Let's rewind. Let's go back to a time when Star Wars wasn't a multi-billion-dollar machine, but a scrappy underdog that dared to dream big. George Lucas, a kid fueled by pulp sci-fi and Akira Kurosawa films, created something genuinely new. It wasn't just a space opera, it was a myth, a modern fairy tale that resonated with audiences worldwide. The original trilogy wasn't perfect, but it felt real. The characters were flawed, the stakes were high, and the ending, while bittersweet, felt earned. Then came the prequels. Controversial, yes, but at least they attempted something different. They expanded the universe, explored the politics of the Republic, and gave us Jar Jar Binks, a character so universally reviled he's become a meme for cinematic failure. But even the prequels, with their dialogue stumbles and CGI overload, felt like a genuine effort to build upon the foundation Lucas had laid. But after that, after Disney bought Lucasfilm, something changed. The creative spark seemed to dim. We got the sequel trilogy, films that, while visually impressive, felt creatively bankrupt, rehashing plot points and betraying established character arcs in a desperate attempt to appease fans while simultaneously avoiding any real originality. The spin-offs. Solo, Rogue One had moments of brilliance, but ultimately felt like contractual obligations, squeezed into the existing canon without a clear purpose. And now, we have endless streaming shows, The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, Andor. And while some are undeniably entertaining, they all feel inconsequential. Like distractions from the larger underlying problem. The problem isn't necessarily the quality of each individual project. It's the quantity. It's the relentless pressure to produce more Star Wars content, regardless of whether it's actually good or needed. It's the corporate mandate to keep the franchise alive, even if it means sacrificing its soul. Think about it. How many times have you watched a Star Wars movie or show and thought, this feels pointless? How many times have you felt like the characters are just puppets, dancing to the tune of a predetermined plot? How many times have you wondered why certain storylines were abandoned, or why certain characters were treated unfairly? And that's the core of it, isn't it? Under Disney's ownership, Star Wars isn't about creativity anymore. It's about maintaining control. It's about ensuring that the empire, in this case, the corporate empire, always wins. No matter what happens in a movie, no matter how much the characters fight, the system, the structure, the underlying power dynamic stays the same. The empire, in its corporate guise, always finds a way to reassert its dominance. It's a chilling parallel, actually, to the very themes explored in Star Wars itself. The rebellion is supposed to be about challenging the status quo, about dismantling oppressive systems. But what happens when the very franchise that champions rebellion is itself an oppressive system, churning out content for the sole purpose of generating profit? The irony is almost unbearable. Let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just a Star Wars problem. It's a problem that plagues so many of our beloved franchises. Think about Marvel. For years, Marvel was synonymous with quality, with innovative storytelling, with a shared universe that felt both expansive and cohesive. But somewhere along the line, the quality started to slip. The movies became formulaic, the storylines became predictable, and the characters felt increasingly hollow. The relentless push for more and more content, the constant need to one-up the previous film, has sucked the joy out of the whole enterprise. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, once a beacon of creative innovation, is now a sprawling, bloated mess struggling to justify its existence. Or consider The Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson's films were a triumph, a cinematic achievement that brought Tolkien's epic fantasy to life in a way no one thought possible. But then came the Hobbit trilogy, a bloated, unnecessary expansion of a relatively short story that felt like a cynical cash grab. The magic was gone, the wonder was replaced by a sense of obligation. These aren't isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a larger, more systemic problem: the commodification of creativity. The relentless pressure to monetize every aspect of our culture, to squeeze every last drop of profit from every beloved franchise, is ultimately destroying the very things we cherish. Now, some of you are probably thinking, but what about the fans? What about the people who just want to see more Star Wars? And I get it. I love Star Wars too. But I believe that true fans, the ones who truly appreciate the spirit of the original films, understand that sometimes the best thing we can do is to let something go, to allow it to rest, to let it become a legend. Think of the original Star Wars trilogy. It wasn't constantly churning out new content. There was a period of dormancy, a time when the saga seemed to have reached its natural conclusion, and it was during that period that the legend truly solidified. It was during that period that the films became timeless classics. Imagine if Star Wars did the same. Imagine if Disney announced that they were ending the franchise, that they were allowing it to become a cherished memory. Wouldn't that be more powerful than another mediocre streaming show? Wouldn't that be a more fitting tribute to the spirit of George Lucas's original vision? Let's be clear, I'm not advocating for the complete abandonment of Star Wars. I'm not saying that we should never see another film or show again. What I'm saying is that we need to change the way we approach the franchise. We need to prioritize quality over quantity. We need to allow for periods of dormancy, periods of reflection, periods of legend. Let Star Wars become a legend again. Let it rest. Let it become a cherished memory. And then, perhaps someday, when the time is right, when the creative spark has been rekindled, when the spirit of George Lucas's original vision has been reignited, then perhaps we can have another Star Wars film or show that is worthy of the name. Until then, let's appreciate the original trilogy for what it is: a timeless classic, a modern fairy tale, a beacon of hope in a galaxy far, far away. And let's hope that someday Disney will have the wisdom to let it rest.